What up, Claytriots? It's your boy, Technically Clay, streaming at you from rainy, dreary St. Louis, Missouri. How's everybody doing out there? I hope you're doing great. I'm doing great. We're all doing great. Yeah, since the last time you saw me, I didn't really do much yesterday. I just made a couple thumbnails, just pre-preparing for clipping some stuff. And then I played a little bit of Slay the Spire. I just read some articles and stuff, and then I went to bed. That was about it. Then after that, I woke up, went to work. Today was my half day. I did not work out after work today. Then I prepped a little, and here I am for you, the viewer. Hello. Yeah, today we will be going over the news of the day, just the normal thing, but also a little bit different this time because I've been doing these longer segments lately, and sometimes I'm like, the longer segments I think are better, like probably more what I want to do in terms of content. However, I do feel like sometimes I miss out on, some of that like short, like fun, non-serious sort of stuff. Like I don't know, just like more of like the drama slop in the media ecosystem, and then also like the stuff that doesn't really matter or whatever. Sometimes I feel like I miss some of those stories because I'm trying to be more focused on actual stuff that matters. So I thought today I might do a little bit of a hybrid. We'll see how it goes, where I'm going to do some like real stories, and then I'm going to have some goofs and stuff afterwards, some non-serious stories. And depending, I tried to leave it like on the shorter side so that hopefully if I get done, I can just go look for stuff too, and like maybe like exist or like do some other like just try and find some other random things to watch that will hopefully be entertaining and different. So make it a little bit less structured this time, I guess. So with that being said, we are going to be doing some real news. We're going to talk about the Strait of Hormuz situation right now. We're going to talk about some stuff related to the economy, and including California's upcoming billionaire tax, some SpaceX news. I guess there was a Polymarket thing that CoffeeZilla did, so I'm going to watch that and react to it. And then after that, I got some of the stuff that I put in the title was like a video from Fox News about an exorcist. I don't know what that's going to be about. Let's see. I got some Gutfeld, and I got some Valuetainment for you guys because I haven't done any PBD reactions. So, I hope that'll be fun. And then whatever else I can find, whatever else I feel like talking about. I wouldn't mind doing some like looks maxing stuff at some point too, just because I'm curious about what's going on over in the looks maxing community right about now. But we'll see if I can find anything around that by the time we get there. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and get right into it. We're going to start with this video from Fox News about we kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday. These guys are just so slow to covering stuff, man. I mean, I know that because it takes me okay. Also, actually, I'm going to start recording locally because that reminded me. I always forget to do this. Okay, but we're going to talk about this Fox News clip. Justin, evacuation suspended in Strait of Hormuz after Iran escalation. Now, I already covered this yesterday. If you watch me live, then you get to know about all this stuff way before Fox News finally covers it. But they might have covered it yesterday. They just maybe just now got to publishing it. I don't know. But all of this information was available yesterday. But also all the articles are just coming out now about it. So it's like, I don't know. I just think they're a little bit like mainstream media just tends to be a little bit slower to report stuff. I guess they have like, a responsibility to be accurate and all that stuff. All the stuff I don't have to worry about. I'm just kidding. I do try to be accurate, but I also try to get on top of stuff as quickly as I can in terms of the newer information. So anyway, let's go ahead and watch this video. It's only 2.5 minutes about the Strait of Hormuz. Like we talked about yesterday, Iran has made it like they have claimed like it's illegal to go across this like there were two routes going, right? There's the one that goes through an island near Iran's border, which they said that's the one that you have to go through if you want, for us to maintain your security. Like, you will have to go through this one. And then there was another, I think, UN recommended path near the Strait of, or near the Gulf, near the country, I guess, of Oman, like closer to Oman's border. That Iran said is not a valid path, and if you're going there, we cannot guarantee your security. And then apparently, I don't know if they've confirmed it or not, but they struck a ship yesterday. I'm assuming it was them, but a ship was struck yesterday. And since then, I think the UN has backed off, saying people should go through the secondary route, and people are still, there's still plenty of traffic flowing, but it's all going through, I think, the Iran officially IRGC sanctioned route. So let's see what Fox News is saying about this, and we'll try and we'll see, how they're feeling about it.
So turning now to more tension in the Middle East, an Iranian drone striking a Singapore-flagged cargo ship in the Strait of Hormuz, putting some pressure on the ceasefire reached with the U.S. A UN agency now suspending its evacuations until the safety of ships passing through that waterway can be guaranteed. Jeff Paul is joining us live this morning from Tel Aviv with the latest. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Bill, yeah, and that attack on that Singapore flag ship at the Strait of Hormuz, obviously a major test of this 60-day deal between the U.S. and Iran. Talks are said to still be progressing, but this certainly derails those efforts to restore ship traffic to what we saw before this war even started. Now, some vessels had recently been evacuated through the United Nations International Maritime Organization's alternative route, but shortly after that ship was attacked by an Iranian drone, the group just announced it is now pausing evacuation of vessels. Iran's Navy released a statement saying this route is unacceptable and extremely dangerous. We warn all vessels to strictly refrain from any movement outside the designated route.
Yeah, so this is just like, let's be clear. Iran is just using this, is just doing this as a form of reasserting control over the strait. The UN contrarily or whatever, and it, in the opposite manner, was using this route as a way to try to wrestle the security, or wrestle the what am I trying to say here? The ownership of the strait away from Iran, right? Iran has won the strait militarily. They have shown that they can control the strait. They can control who gets to go in and out of the strait, and nobody can do anything about it. America has spent a vast amount of my tax dollars personally to try to open up the Strait of Hormuz, and they failed miserably, and were unable to do so. So Iran does control the strait. Now, so when the UN is doing this sort of stuff, they could have just said to all of these ships, just go through the normal channels that the IRGC has set up that they have designated safe, right? But they decided to try to do a separate route around, that was not IRGC sanctioned. And trust me, that wasn't out of the goodness of their heart. That wasn't out of trying to get these stranded ships out as fast as possible. The purpose of that was to try to wrestle away some of the power that Iran won militarily. And Iran said no. Basically, that's what actually happened. Now, Iran's going to say we have not sanctioned people to go through that pathway, and there could be security issues if you go through there, maybe there's latent mines or whatever that we need to clear before anybody can go through any other routes. But essentially what they're trying to do is just reassert control that they had already achieved through military victory. So that's what's going on here.
Routes. General Jack Keane today on Fox News responding to the situation this way.
We're going to have to arm wrestle this out, make certain that they step back. This is going to get resolved. Either it'll get resolved and the Iranians will stand down and stop what they're doing, or we will force them to stand down.
How? I'm telling you, how? We already tried that. We already tried that. You understand that, right? Mr. Kane or whatever, General Kane, what's his name again? Keane, I think. We already tried that. We already tried it. It failed. What are we supposed to do? I don't understand. What do you think we should do? Can you be more specific? Maybe I'll watch his longer video here after this too.
President Trump seemingly addressing the growing tensions last night while speaking to some farmers at the White House. He says the strait remains open and emphasized Iran could become a new market for American farmers, saying they'll use unfrozen Iranian assets to buy U.S. crops. Trump insists Tehran wants to make a long-term deal with the U.S. badly.
We're negotiating from a position of pure strength, pure strength. They know that. And the strait's already open, and we're setting records of the strait. But we had to do that. We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon.
Now, during his latest stop in the Persian Gulf, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that they're not interested in Iranian press conferences or rhetoric. They are interested in seeing ships move through the Strait of Hormuz. He says if that is happening, that is a good thing. If it is not, it is a violation of the agreement and of the ceasefire. And he says they're going to have a problem if that happens. Bill?
Interesting. Let me go. I want to go see what that Keane guy was talking about. General Keane, which I think he's a little too old to be a general now. But let's go ahead and see like his full response to this, because he sounded I don't know. I'd be curious what he's thinking.
An Iranian drone strike on a cargo ship in the Strait of Hormuz near the coast of Oman is raising new concerns about the fragile peace deal reached between the U.S. and Iran just last week. Secretary of State Marco Rubio reassuring Gulf allies that their security is a priority.
We want to ensure that in any decisions that are made throughout this negotiating process, the interest of our partners and our allies in the region are always taken into account. That there is no part of this deal that's undertaken that in any way undermines the security, the stability, or the prosperity of any of our partners in the Gulf region.
And he says he was going to listen more than speak. So here, what we can do and expect over the next 60 days is retired four-star general, Fox News senior strategic analyst, chairman of the Institute of Study of War, General Jack Keane. General, when that drone struck, what were you thinking?
Well, it didn't surprise me at all. I mean, because the reality is, Iran, when they look at the Straits of Hormuz and what they were able to achieve when they first shut it down on 2 March, just several days after the war began on February 28th. And then we went to a ceasefire several weeks later on April the 8th. They achieved something with that. And that is stuck in their head. They believe this gives them geopolitical advantage over over their adversaries, the Gulf states in the region, and also some leverage with the United States. And remember, the MOU,
it 100% does.
Everything is in the future in the MOU.
Because that's the reason that we stopped the war. Like, that's the reason that we stopped bombing them. That's the reason that we stopped with the blockade. It was all because of this one action that they were able to maintain throughout the entire war. So, yeah, they did achieve that. They did achieve it militarily. This is it's ridiculous to think it otherwise at this point. You have to be living in a fantasy world if you want to do that.
While everything is in the future in the MOU over the 60-day negotiation period and then some, in terms of all things nuclear, ballistic missiles, support for proxies, and the list goes on. But the deal, an agreement that was struck, was over the Strait of Hormuz in the MOU. And that certainly is that it's supposed to be open, all lanes, clear the lanes that are not clear, and no administrative control.
I don't think that was. I thought it did mention. 1 second. MOU text. Let me read it again real quick, or let me read the portion about the. Great. Okay, let's read the text real quick just to make sure let's make sure that he's being accurate. Upon signing this MOU, the Islamic Republic of Iran will make arrangements using its best efforts of the safe passages of commercial vessels with no charge for 60 days only. Yeah, we'll make arrangements. That means it's up to Iran. Like that means it's up to Iran. That's the plain face reading of that text. The traffic of commercial vessels will immediately start, in considering the need for removing the technical and military obstacles and demining by the IRGC will be instated within 30 days. The Islamic Republic of Iran will conduct dialogue with the Sultanate of Oman to define the future administration and maritime services in the Strait of Hormuz in discussions with other Persian Gulf littoral states in line with applicable international law and the sovereign rights of coastal states of the Strait of Hormuz. So there's the official text. So he's just wrong here. It is up to the IRGC to maintain the security of the strait and to administrate like who's going in and out, at like under what circumstances they're going in and out, just for everybody's safety. So I think that he's just wrong here.
And no administrative control whatsoever. And here Iran is doing two things. One is they're exercising administrative control, and certainly that is prohibited. And what I mean by that, they're telling ships where
but it's not. According to the MOU, they are the ones who are supposed to be administering traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. I just read that.
Can go and when they can go in terms of what lanes. And two, you have to get Iranian insurance to execute that. That is absolutely prohibited by the MOU. And then obviously,
I don't think he's read it.
The ceasefire is what it is. And taking a cargo ship. Now,
dude, they got to get some younger people on, man. I mean, I know that the boomers on Fox News, like, they like seeing reflections of themselves. So they see this, you know, old ass white guy who like can barely string a sentence together. And it's like, you know, they really enjoy that. But like, they need to get some newer, younger people to come in and do these like it feels like every single like expert that they have on when it comes to military stuff is like 112. Like, I don't know. It can't, like, that can't be good for the future of your like company, right? I don't know. I mean, Fox News ratings are always high, so I guess it works, but it just seems crazy to me. I don't know why people watch this shit.
And taking a cargo ship. Now, why did they shoot at that ship? Well, because it was in a lane that they didn't want them to be in. A lane that's much closer to Oman and where U.S. Military forces are. So we're going to have to arm wrestle this out, make certain that they step back. And if they continue to do this, I think a couple of things are going to happen. The president is not going to let this stand. He's been public record explaining exactly where he is on the Straits of Hormuz. The MOU was kind of confusing in the sense, remember what it said? No restrictions during a 60-day period. And then when the 60-day period is over, Oman and the Iranians are going to work out the details in terms of how to administer it to it. Well, that implies a level of control. The president spoke out very pointedly on that and said that's not going to happen. If there's any...
Then why do you agree to it? Then why do you agree to it in the MOU? We also just read that text as well. That's what's going to happen, man. If you don't think that there's going to be like fees or whatever on the Strait of Hormuz, you're delusional. Like, there's nothing America can do about that. And also, all of the Gulf states are currently in the process of lining up to make deals with Iran to, I'm assuming, get like better deals on how much they're going to be paying in terms of these tolls or fees in the future thing. And I think they're all going to agree in some sort of like you know, like on some sort of like generalized like operational agreement on the Strait of Hormuz, where there's going to be buy-in from all of the Gulf states, but in particular, the people who are going to be profiting from it will be Iran and Oman. That's what I think is likely going to happen, and only time will tell, but we'll see. I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen.
Anybody's going to control the straits, it's going to be the United States, and we'll actually charge a fee.
I don't know why it does that sometimes.
The president spoke out very pointedly on that and said that's not going to happen. If anybody's going to control the straits, it's going to be the United States, and we'll actually charge a fee if a fee is appropriate.
How?
So this is going to get resolved. Either it'll get resolved and the Iranians will stand down and stop what they're doing, or we will force them to stand down. And step one would be put back in place what we were doing when we cleared a lane and we were protecting the ships to go through that one lane that was close to Oman. We were getting 55 ships through there a day. Or If
No, they
necessary, go
weren't.
back to project.
Not before the MOU. No way. No, they got, like, if there were any that were getting through, it was a very, like, I think, man, I can't remember. I think Dropsite had some reporting on it, but I thought it was like 35 over the course of like a couple days or a few days or something. Like, so it's like, okay, congratulations. But that's not, and they were all small vessels as well. They weren't large vessels. They were all very small vessels that could not, like, actually be, could not be, you wouldn't be able to get as much throughput in terms of oil, basically, if you were using those. So, because, like, if they were large vessels, it would have been much easier for Iran to target them and stuff. So,
Freedom, which is we absolutely open the straits physically and keep them open and maintain a presence there to guarantee that that's open. And obviously that would take some time, but nonetheless.
Great. Billions more of my tax dollars is what he wants to use to do that, I guess. Let's go ahead and read this quick article. This is about, so Oman has basically officially confirmed that there will be tolls going forward. Iran has already said that there's going to be fees, environmental fees or whatever, administrative fees, whatever they're calling it. And Oman has now also confirmed it, because before, I think yesterday, Oman had said there wasn't going to be. But now, after they struck this ship over near Oman's territorial waters, now they're saying that there is. So I'm guessing that this was like, Oman was maybe potentially testing the waters a little bit by allowing this secondary corridor. And then once Iran showed that it was serious, it probably backed off, if I had to guess. But anyway, let's read this. Oman tells allies ships going through Hormuz may have to pay, by Sami Adgurini, Fiona McDonald, and Ania Nussbaum. Oman has told European officials there's no way of going back to the pre-war status quo with the Strait of Hormuz, and transiting ships may have to be charged some fees, according to people familiar with the matter. While Omani officials said they will always abide by international maritime law, they added there could be fees for services related to depolluting the strait or helping ships navigate it, the people said, asking not to be named, discussing private matters. It's unclear if Oman said all these fees would be obligatory. Sorry, I got like something in my throat. Oman is analyzing systems used for choke points across the globe, including the Malacca Strait in Asia, said the people, an area where there are no mandatory shipping charges. The U.S., Europe, and Oman's Gulf Arab neighbors are increasingly concerned the Sultanate will set up tolling or fee system with Iran for the Strait of Hormuz. Eventually, they'll pay it. They'll just pay it. But I think there's going to be a more like regional agreement that will take place that all of the Gulf states will sign on to, including Oman and Iran, in terms of this administrative fees that they're setting up. French President Emmanuel Macron will meet Oman's leader, Sultan Haitham bin Tariq, in Paris on Monday as world powers step up efforts to ensure free passage through the strait continues. The two leaders will address the security of maritime routes, which depends on free and unconditional passage through the Strait of Hormuz, according to Macron's office. Oman's foreign ministry and its embassy in France did not immediately respond to requests for comment on Friday, the start of the country's weekend. Oman and Iran border the narrow waterway. Yeah. We already know all that. With U.S. and Iran now in peace talks, Tehran is insisting it will jointly manage traffic with Oman. Any fees for vessels could cost commodity traders and shippers tens of billions of dollars annually. Governments including the U.S., U.K., France, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates have warned they would break maritime laws. I mean, technically not really. I mean, there is an example of this already in Turkey. Like, Turkey administers their waterway and charges a fee for it. So there is already examples of this existing. So let's see. Traffic flows through Hormuz despite shock container ship attack. Rubio rejects. I think those are just like article things. Oman is an ally of the U.S. but maintains close ties to Iran. It's sometimes dubbed the Switzerland of the Middle East. For its neutrality in geopolitical conflicts and mediating between Washington and Tehran before the war erupted. Muscat has sent mixed messages about the strait's future. On Tuesday, it published a statement with Iran in which they said they would discuss how to operate the waterway and the costs associated with that. 2 days later, it signed a statement from the U.S. and Gulf Cooperation Council that rejected any tolls, fees, or attempts to assert control over the strait. They said in the meeting, and they signed on to the statement that said that there aren't going to be any fees or tolls. And so I think that's good news. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said of Oman while he was visiting Bahrain. Omani officials have told European counterparts they are under pressure from Iran. The Islamic Republic fired missiles and drones across the Middle East during the conflict, including at Oman, and remains the leading military power in the Persian Gulf, despite the damage to its armed forces from the U.S.-Israeli strikes. Oman is caught in between a rock and a hard place, trying to maintain a balancing act between Iran and the U.S., said Badar Al-Saif, assistant professor at Kuwait University and associate fellow at Chatham House. Doing so has more or less worked in the past, but with the two sides at war and constantly trying to outmaneuver one over another, this Omani behavior will bite them eventually. Iran has already said ships crossing the choke point need to apply to it for insurance and signaled the policies will only be free for roughly the next 60 days, just like the memorandum of understanding said. The issue is a key point of contention between Iran and the U.S. as they continue negotiations over a permanent peace deal following almost 4 months of war. On Thursday, Rubio said Iran would have to keep the strait toll-free and ensure ships aren't charged any fees if it wants a formal peace. Otherwise, he said there would be nothing stopping governments doing the same with other maritime choke points, and then we're going to have chaos. Huh? I mean, that's one of the consequences of destroying international law and, and going forward with this stupid war. It's a consequence. Like, I'm sorry. Flows of oil through Hormuz have picked up. Yeah. Most governments say ships should be allowed to sail through Hormuz without paying any fees. That's typically the same with other natural choke point bordering more than one country. The Malacca Strait is loosely managed between Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore, with the countries charging vessels for any navigation and security services that are needed. There's another example of people charging for it. You can see the uptick here. It's still not nearly as high as the pre-war levels, but it is starting to rise up again. And they also have a breakdown by country, I guess. So Iran is like has increased significantly. Interesting. You'll also notice that there was Iranian traffic, and then here's the U.S. blockade. There was still a little bit of Iranian traffic, and then it went down a little bit. But I think that even this, though, is probably underestimating the amount of shadow fleet stuff that Iran was doing to get vessels out of their vessels out of the Strait of Hormuz. But anyway, there you go. That's this current situation when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz. We'll see what happens in the future. We'll see. Okay, so next I wanted to talk about the California billionaire tax. One sec. Man. Okay. So, I thought that there already was supposed to be a billionaire tax, if I remember correctly, or a wealth tax of some sort. But I thought Governor Gavin Newsom had blocked it or vetoed it. Let me verify that real quick. They have all results. Let's see if there's any news articles. I don't know. Maybe he just opposed it and he didn't actually veto it. I thought that he vetoed it. But maybe I'm misremembering and thinking of a different bill. But anyway. California billionaire tax headed for ballot despite top Democrats' opposition. Let's go ahead and read this one. So the 5% tax, it's only 5%, man. The 5% tax would raise tens of billions for healthcare, but many liberals in the state fear the long-term economic costs. God damn it, dude. Let's see what they say. By Hannah Knowles. Leader of a proposal to tax California's billionaires faced growing opposition Thursday as they declared the issue would make the state's ballot in November. Top Democrats and advocacy groups were lining up against them. Silicon Valley Titans were preparing to spend heavily to defeat them. Governor Gavin Newsom said the measure would hurt the state. See, look at all of the people. Look at all of the forces of capital and the forces of power that are lining up all to just try and stop this. That's how you know it's a good thing, okay, people? If you're a working class individual out there, if all of these people are scared of this, that's how you know it's a good thing. But officials with the healthcare union behind the Billionaire Tax Now campaign said on Thursday night on a Zoom call that they were confident. Popular support is on our side, said Debra Carthen, the vice president of the union SEIU, United Healthcare Workers West. The push to put a billionaire tax to a popular vote in blue California has exposed deep divides on the left. Not on the left, with liberals. Liberalism is not a left-wing ideology. It's a center-right-wing ideology, okay? So it's between the left and the center-right. Even as Democratic politicians across the country rally around calls for the wealthy to pay more, the issue is pitting the populist mood of the public against many Democrats' fear that the measure will push the ultra-wealthy to join a broader exodus from the state and take their tax dollars with them. They always fucking say this. It never happens. New York is a perfect example. Mamdani said all of these billionaires said that they were going to flee the state because of taxes or whatever, and none of them have fled the state so far. That's number one. So it never happens, but let's say hypothetically it did. Good. Get them the fuck out of the state. They're the ones who are corrupting your politics and making it impossible for you to do anything. They are the ones that are actively making your lives work. Let them go to Texas. Let them go to Florida. Let them go ruin those states so that your state can finally start to flourish again. Get rid of them. We don't want them. Number three, easy stop. As a part of the legislation, say, and there's also a 100% exit fee for any company that decides to leave after this is passed, or any billionaire who decides to leave after this tax. If you want to leave, then you get then 100% of your wealth over $1 billion is taxed instead of just 5% or whatever they're doing here. Easy peasy. If you really want to keep all of that money and influence in your state, then that's an easy way to do it. The ballot, because like, here's the thing. I would rather them not have any of that wealth. I would just say tax it at 100% right off the bat and make it, if they try to leave, then we're just taking all of it anyway. Sorry. So you can either stay here and we take it, or you can leave and we take it, either way. But they're only going to do 5%, it sounds like. The ballot measure would impose a one-time wealth tax of 5% on the state's more than 250 billionaires and put the revenue toward health care. AKA, let me be absolutely clear about this. This legislation will affect 250 people. 250 people negatively. That's all. 250 people. And it will be incredibly positive for everybody else. That's crazy. That's crazy. That 250 people's interest, because I'm going to be honest, I'm highly skeptical that this is actually going to be able to make it across the finish line. But it's crazy to me that 250 people's interest is worth more than the entire fucking state. Like, that's crazy. To counteract federal cuts imposed by the Trump administration, advocates say California's billionaires account for more than $2 trillion in wealth. Jesus Christ, dude. 250 people account for $2 trillion in wealth. This shit makes me want to fucking kirk myself, dude. Advocates say meaning the tax could funnel $100 billion to the state, though others dispute that number. Backers of the measure include Senator Bernie Sanders and other progressives who want to push Democrats in a more populist direction. This is a moral test about whether the Democratic Party will be for the billionaire class and the donor class, or whether we will be for the working class, said Representative Ro Khanna, who represents a deep blue district in Silicon Valley and has clashed with tech leaders over the wealth tax. But other Democratic politicians in the state also, okay, you don't have to do 100% exit tax. Just make it equivalent. They can either stay here and they get taxed at 5%, or if they leave, then we like instantaneously take just make it 10% of their wealth to account for like future earnings loss or whatever. We immediately take 10% of their wealth as an exit if they decide to leave the state. Anyway, but other Democratic politicians in the state are warning against the ballot measure, arguing a California tax will hurt business and decrease, letter to the editor, I think they just mean would hurt business and decrease the state's revenue in the long run. Chief among the critics is Newsom, a likely 2028 presidential contender, he's never going to win, whose team has helped marshal the opposition. Javier Becerra, the Democrats' nominee to succeed Newsom, is against the tax as well. Man, they fucking suck, dude. These people are all shills for corporations. How much money did the Epstein class have to pay Gavin Newsom to get him to be against this, I wonder? On Friday, Newsom called for a national tax on anyone with net worth of more than $100 million as a means to ensure that employers pay at least the same rate as their workers. Wealth is movable, and it shops for the state with the lowest taxes, Newsom wrote in a Substack post. Again, just charge a fucking exit fee then. Like, they're not going to do it. If you tell a 100 billionaire, like, let's say there's a person with $100 billion in your state, and you tell them, okay, if you want to leave, go, but we're taking 10% of your wealth. So we're going to take 10 billion right off the top, and you will instantaneously lose that money, and it will go into the coffers of California. Then, yeah, I mean, I have a feeling a lot of them would just say, okay, well then never mind. I guess I won't leave. If you're that worried about it. The fight belongs at the federal level where the broken system was created in the first place. An expensive showdown is already underway. A group backed by Silicon Valley investor Chris Larson is raising the alarm with TV ads that billionaires and businesses are already leaving and making Newsom the face of the anti-tax push. Another group largely funded by Google co-founder Sergey Brin, who recently left California for Nevada, is promoting a separate ballot measure that would invalidate the billionaire tax if it passes in November with more votes. Okay, I guess competing ballot measures. I don't understand how that works. If like one passes, or if they both pass, I don't really know what happens in that particular circumstance. There's going to be more money than God has deployed against the tax for all the obvious reasons, said Gary South, a California-based Democratic strategist, echoing others who speculated the spending could reach the hundreds of millions of dollars. Some opponents of the tax had hoped a last-minute deal might preempt the battle and lead SEIU, UHW, the union behind the tax, to pull it from the ballot, but no such deal materialized by Thursday evening deadline. Newsom's office rejected an offer from SEIU to reduce the tax to 2% in exchange for his support. Well, yeah, I don't know. Can he... If it's a ballot measure, then he can't do anything about it, I assume. A May poll found that 54% of likely voters in California, including 76% of Democrats, supported a one-time tax of up to 5% on billionaires, while 45% of likely voters opposed it. Slightly more than 80% of Republicans opposed the measure, according to the poll. But supporters of the ballot measure expect to be massively outspent, and funding has historically been a major factor in the outcomes of California ballot measures. So is this a one-time thing or an annual thing? Oh, it's a one-time wealth tax. Well, in that case, yeah, then who cares? Just tie some text to it of if a billionaire leaves the state, then we also get a 5% wealth income, or like we take 5% of their wealth. Like, you can just make it the exact same number then, because then, and just tie them both together, like put them in the same bill. So if somebody leaves after that, if a billionaire leaves the state, then they will lose $5 billion. Sounds good to me. It'll also help prevent billionaires from coming to your state, which is good, right? You don't want billionaires coming to your state. Anytime a billionaire comes to your state, it is going to destroy your community, it is going to destroy your politics, it is going to destroy everything that you love about your state. The scariest thing in the world is a billionaire coming to your state and saying, I'm here to help, okay? People, you do not want that to happen. And so, yeah, we should try to prevent as many billionaires as possible from ever coming to our states. Like, that's a good policy position. But supporters of the ballot measure expect to be massively... Oh, I already read that. Asked Thursday how much they had budgeted to spend on the ballot measures, leaders of the effort did not give a number and said they are fundraising. Emmanuel Saz, a California Berkeley economics professor who helped craft the tax, said Americans are so sour on billionaires that the Yes campaign can overcome a cash gap. It's possible that an insurgent campaign could still prevail, said Saz, who once advised the presidential campaigns of Sanders and Senator Elizabeth Warren, another Democrat who has championed taxes on the richest Americans. Saz and other economists laid out their case for the billionaire tax in an op-ed that spring, predicting that it could raise almost $100 billion for the state, and saying that even if all California's billionaires left, It would take 25 years for the lost tax revenue to outcome this one-time windfall. Yeah, that's crazy, dude. 25 years. Even if they left, even if you didn't add that tax for just taking their wealth when they leave the state, they would still lose out on all of that windfall. They would still, like, it would still be better to do it. And that's like, again, they never do it. They never do it. Like, on average, they never do it. The tax would apply to billionaires who lived in California as of January 1st, 2026, meaning it's too late for them to avoid the tax if they move away this year. The New York Times first reported that Britain, estimated net worth $260 billion per Forbes, left late last year. Some billionaires have shrugged off the prospect. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang, estimated net worth $169 billion, has said he is perfectly fine with it, but others, including venture capitalist Peter Thiel, $26 billion, ex-Uber chief executive Travis Kalanick, and car loan mogul Don Hankey, $8.2 billion have left. Critics say it's not clear how much the billionaire tax would ultimately raise. Researchers at Stanford Hoover's institution estimated about $40 billion. A nonpartisan analysis for the California legislature notes it is very hard to predict and anticipates a loss of hundreds of millions of more in income tax revenue each year. I doubt that. I highly doubt that. Because these people don't pay fucking taxes anyway. Billionaires don't fucking pay taxes. Everybody understands this. Like, they don't pay taxes. They just hide all of their money in their investments the entire time. They don't pay any goddamn taxes. So this is not going to, there's literally no way that it would lose hundreds of millions. There's no way at all. I would guess that this would, like, even if, like, it led to a loss in, like, amount of billionaires you have, I would guess that it wouldn't even lose any income tax, really, to be honest. A slew of unions, including some healthcare groups such as the California Medical Association, have come out against the tax, and some have questioned SEIU UHW's decision to allocate the overwhelming majority of the revenue toward healthcare rather than other sectors. Brian Marvel, the president of the Peace Officers Research Association of California, said Newsom's office reached out a few weeks ago encouraging his group to weigh in. Do we want to push all these people out for this one-time money that's going to fund just the healthcare people, and long-term we're going to have issues funding public safety, funding schools? Marvel said this is all hypothetical. Like I said, they have no evidence to back up that this would actually happen. If the governor is able, I'm saying in terms of a wealth tax, like, they have no evidence showing that wealth taxes have ever made people leave. If the governor is able to get most of the unions to coalesce around him and his position, I think it's going to be a difficult fight for them to win, he added. Leaders of the tax effort on Thursday accused Newsom and his allies of acting in lockstep with billionaires and said they understood how formidable the opposition was. We know what we're getting into, SEIU UHW President Dave Reagan said. Keep fighting the good fight. When all of the worst people in the fucking world are mobilizing this much time, money, and effort into trying to stop something, you know that you're doing something good. Like I said, the only thing I would change about it is put an amendment in there, or like that any billionaire that leaves the state is going to, or like an addendum or whatever, any billionaire that leaves the state will also have to pay 5% of their wealth to the state of California in order to exit. It's just a simple exit fee. It's a pretty common thing that, like, lots of, like, states have for, like, businesses and stuff. Just tack it on. It'll be easy. Then they can make the decision if they want to leave. That's if you really want them to stay, by the way. I would say I would prefer to just take that money and then have them leave the state, because having billionaires in your state is inherently terrible for your state. It is terrible for your politics. It is terrible for the working class. It destroys your state. They're currently in the process of destroying Texas and destroying Florida as well. Go look and read about the people. They love writing these articles, right? They love writing these articles of talking about all of these millionaires and billionaires that are fleeing California to Texas or Florida or whatever, right? They love writing these articles, but they never write the articles about all of the people who fucking hate it, because all of the actual people who live in those states fucking hate that shit. They hate it so fucking much because it destroys their state. Like, it does. It makes everything worse for them. It raises the prices of everything. It makes creates a lot of, like, corruption inside of their state. There's a much higher likelihood of getting things like data centers and various things that are terrible for your community and your state. Like it's terrible. If you go and read like what actual people who live there feel, they hate when these billionaires and millionaires leave California and come to Florida. So they're just destroying those states too. So, it's like, I would rather them destroy those states than destroy California, to be honest. Anyway, so that's that. That's what's going on with the wealth tax. Let's see. I wanted to also go over a couple things here. So this is investor Anthony Scaramucci, which that name sounds really familiar. Was he a part of the Trump administration? Dismissed by President Donald Trump. He was the White House correspondent or communications director. Oh, he was one of those people who, like Caroline Leavitt, who came out. He was one of the press secretary people, I think. Okay. Investor Anthony Scaramucci, I'm just going to read this article. Investor Anthony Scaramucci says, when people start missing mortgage payments, immigrants become a threat. That's not racism. That's economics. So let's go ahead and read this and see what he's thinking, because he's making the very obvious, the obvious, truth, or pointing out the obvious truth that as people's economic precarity goes down, their racism, or like the attacks on immigrants and all of that stuff starts to increase, which is, that's there's evidence about that. That's just a direct one-to-one correlation. So it's nothing new, but let's see what he has to say. This is by Adrian Volanik. The rise of anti-immigration sentiment in many countries may have less to do with racism and more to do with economic frustration, says Skybridge Capital founder Anthony Scaramucci. In a recent post on X, he said that when people feel financially secure and optimistic about the future, immigration tends to become a much less important political issue. But when families start falling behind, the conversation changes. That is 100% true. These narratives have a lot more potency when people are economically not being taken care of. That is 100% the case. But the other thing that I don't know if he's necessarily going to get into, I haven't read the article or anything, is that the other thing that you have to understand is that the moneyed interest going into fewer and fewer hands, like the amount of money being accumulated into less and less hands, gives outsized influence to these people who then pump these narratives even more, because they are trying to intentionally divide the working class. Because the easiest way to defeat the working class and the easiest way to continue accumulating infinite wealth at the expense of the working class is to have the working class divided and fighting against each other. So like as more and more wealth accumulates into, it's a feedback loop, right? It's a feedback loop. As more and more wealth accumulates into fewer hands, they have more power and more ability to pump racist propaganda into the ether with, for instance, like Elon Musk buying Twitter, or CBS being bought by another who I can't remember who, but like that like Zionist person or whatever, or TikTok being sold to the who was TikTok sold to? ByteDance, but I think it was like Adelson or whoever, right? Like all of these things, they allow for them to pump much more propaganda to keep people divided, because they have accumulated. We have allowed them to accumulate all of that wealth. So it's simultaneously making people's more susceptible to those narratives, but also at the same time pumping those narratives with like higher degrees, like at a much higher frequency and at a much higher level than if they didn't have that much power or money. Let's see. The American Dream and Economic Anxiety. Scaramucci pointed to his father as an example of what many Americans once expected from life. My dad was a crane operator, earned union wages, putting in the time, and felt pretty good about himself, he wrote on X recently. He wasn't Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, but his kids were going to do better than him. According to, I'll just read this, I guess. My dad was a crane operator, earned union wages, put in the time, and felt pretty good about himself. He wasn't Jeff Bezos, but his kids were going to do better than him. That was the deal in the US, and he believed it. When you feel that way, you're basically agnostic. Yeah, that was back when he was, back when, there were good union jobs. That's just not the case anymore. Unions were systematically destroyed by capital, and we allowed it to happen. Americans allowed it to happen. They got too complacent after the labor movement of the 40s and stuff, and they allowed it to happen. And then obviously the Red Scare propaganda really, really helped in that narrative. Like that narrative, like people bought that shit hook, line, and sinker, and they allowed themselves to be exploited at much, much higher rates because of that narrative and how successful it was. We're only just now starting to get out of like Red Scare propaganda, like in the year 2026, like 50 years after the Cold War. According to Scaramucci, that expectation used to be part of an unwritten social contract. People didn't need to become wealthy. They simply wanted to believe that hard work would create a better future for their children. When you feel that way, you're basically agnostic to immigration, he said. On the other hand, he argued rising costs and declining affordability have changed the outlook for many families. But when you're in decline, when the affordability crisis has you missing mortgage payments, skipping the dentist, watching your kids fall behind where you were at their age, the immigrants become the threat, he said. Not because they actually are, but because fear needs somewhere to land. That's economics. Scaramucci argued that politicians have benefited from this frustration, but he believes the underlying issue is a growing gap between those who are prospering and those who feel left behind. He described the situation and a smaller amount of people prospering and more people being left behind. He described the situation as part of a broader affordability crisis affecting working and middle-class families in the U.S. and other countries in the West. If you're already dealing with debt and higher everyday expenses, money problems can pile up fast. People with high-interest debt often turn to companies like Accredited Debt Relief to get their debt under control. The company held more than 1 million clients and supported them in paying off over $3 billion in debt. Eligible customers can... What is this? Is this an ad? I think this is an ad. I thought they were going to talk about how this is a shitty debt relief thing, like a predatory debt relief system. This just seems like an ad. Is this not disclosed as an ad? That seems crazy to me. I feel like they should have to say like sponsored by Accredited Debt Relief or something. I'm sorry for accidentally reading that ad without disclosing it. Scaramucci's conclusion was straightforward. That's not racism, that's economics, he wrote. And his proposed solution is equally simple. Fix the economics and you fix a lot of the rest. Unfortunately, you can't fix the economics without accumulating the power to take back the wealth that has been stolen by the Epstein class from the working class. So, once we accumulate that power through organizing and through, through electoralism when it's possible, and also through whatever forms of resistance are necessary, only then will we be able to actually fix the broken system. So, generally speaking, though, I agree with this assessment. It is true, but like I said, it's a feedback loop. It's not just that people get more racist or are more prone to accept racist narratives when they are in a precarious economic position. It is also that the people that we have allowed to accumulate this much power are able to pump the airwaves with that racist propaganda way more than they could before. Okay. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the Polymarket situation. I don't really know a whole lot about this. For those unaware, Polymarket is I assume everybody knows at this point, but you can bet on fucking anything. Everything is gambling. Everything is meme coin. Everything is stock. Like that is all. Like you can bet on whether Trump is going to, or whether like Israel is going to kill like 30 Lebanese children today, or whether they're going to kill 5 or whatever. Like you can bet on fucking anything. It's a horrifying dystopian practice, or like a dystopian prospect that we currently live in. I think that, movies have written have made dystopian movies that are exactly like this in the past, and people I feel like used to realize it as dystopian, and maybe some people still do and they just don't talk about it that much. But anyway, our boy CoffeeZilla did an investigation, I think, about Polymarket, or at least maybe he's just reading about the investigation or something. I think related to advertising, like they were doing some advertising about like people allegedly making like millions of dollars or whatever off of Polymarket. So let's go ahead and watch this video and let's see what's going on with this.
Two journalists who ran two massive investigations you'll hear about almost nowhere else. The Wall Street Journal, Politico, both talking about how Polymarket has been running deceptive ads. They're hyping up the odds of your success, many times not disclosing that they are paid to do so, and even worse, a lot of the trades are completely fake. Not only that, these investigations heavily imply that Polymarket knew and facilitated a lot of this deception, even going so far as to create a fake website for these people to put their fake bets on. It's a bombshell allegations. And I really was like, well, why aren't more people talking about it? And then I realized, oh yeah, because so many people are on the take from the prediction market industry. They aren't exactly unbiased sources. They're making money from this industry. They have a vested interest in making it look as good as possible. You have huge celebrities like Rick Rubin, like Timothy Chalamet. You gonna hear about it from the news? Oh, sorry. Well, CNN actually has a prediction market partnership with Kalshi. You gonna hear about it from Fox News? Oh no, actually they have a prediction market partnership with Kalshi once again. Are you gonna hear about it from the Wall Street Journal? Well, actually yes, but the Dow Jones is actually partnered also with Polymarket. This is a fun fact that was brought up to me by one of the journalists who wrote.
I didn't know that Dow Jones was like an actual like organization. I thought the Dow was just the name for the the Dow Jones Industrial Average, like the valuation, the total valuation of the stock market. I thought that's what it was. I didn't even know that it was an organization. So that's kind of crazy.
Wrote the story as a line of disclosure they had to make, actually.
My name is Caitlin Ostroff. I'm a reporter for the Wall Street Journal, and we just did a piece on how Polymarket is paying for deceptive bets to be shown on your social media feed. And even the Wall Street Journal, our parent company, Dow Jones, is a partner of Polymarket. So, like, you know, that is a fun line of disclosure that we get to put in literally everything we do. It's the highlight of my day.
Yeah, what a disaster. You run this incredible piece of hard-hitting journalism only to find out your parent company has a partnership with that company. Now, credit to them for reporting it. You know, it's a huge bombshell, obviously.
By the way, this is hell. This is hell. The news, like the fucking news being partnered with these betting corporations is like unacceptable. This is completely unacceptable. Every time that like you see a prediction market thing on CNN or on wherever they're being integrated into next, like it should make you like throw up a little in your mouth. Like, this is completely unacceptable. It is straight up just like a big money well, first of all, it's immoral. Like, I don't like that you can bet on like, real world events with like real world consequences. Number two, it's corrupt as fuck. Like, the actual prediction markets are incredibly corrupt with people insider trading all the time. And then number three, like, I feel like it's going to be impossible for you to be objective if you are relying on these like betting platforms in order, like, I don't know. This is more, I guess, that's more a critique of like just any sort of like big sponsors that are funding the news. Like, I do believe that the news should not be able first of all, I think the news should all be nonprofit. Like, I don't think it should be a profit seeking venture in and of itself. But I also think that they need to not take in money from companies. I don't believe I don't believe that the news should be allowed to do that, because it's inherently corrupting. They are going to cater their news towards that towards that bias, and we've seen the consequence of our media being completely bought and paid for by the same like special interests that buy and pay for our government, right? Even things like, you can even abstract it even more to like things like the Iraq war lead up or whatever, right? All of those news organizations were essentially bought and paid for by the exact same forces of capital that were leading the charge of Iraq, of going into Iraq in an invasion, right? Like these types of things, they have fucking consequences, and they're not obvious consequences. They're more subtle, and they come around, you know, on the back end a lot of the time when people aren't paying as much attention to it, but they do have consequences. And like this, it should definitely be, I don't know. I feel like the whole prediction part of it is like especially egregious, but I think all of these big corporate news networks should not be allowed to take, you know, money from these direct sources, especially that they're going to be like responsible for covering. Like, you know, like that's ridiculous.
The market is probably not happy with it at all. And basically the central finding is all around not only fake bets, but all these videos that were going out showing people making a ton of money. It turns out it was happening a lot of the times on a fake website that Polymarket set up. So I'm gonna have you watch a few of these videos and notice the URL.
Bro, what? Will Trump say April Fool's this week? 4%? Bro, what the?
Want to be accused of April Fools?
Yes!
Trump say McDonald's in January?
Good deal as usual. But you know, in the old days, McDonald's...
Now there's a lot more
Oh my God. That's ridiculous. So, yeah, clearly that's fake, because there's no way the odds would be that low if he was going to, you know, like Trump says McDonald's on a daily basis. He literally orders McDonald's on a daily basis. Like, what was the amount that he was going to get from that? Here, wait 1 second.
Yes!
Trump say McDonald's in
A
January?
1% chance that he would say McDonald's in January. Bro, Trump probably said McDonald's unironically 1,000 times in January. There's probably not been a single month that Trump has not said McDonald's in. I bet if you go back through all of the public videos of Trump, like throughout all of the past year, I bet there was at least one time they said McDonald's in literally every single month. Like, this is 100% going to happen no matter what every month. And so he put in how much? He put in $1,000, and so it's 100 times. He got a 100x on the like impossible to lose bet. That's crazy.
Good deal as usual. But you know, in the old days, McDonald's...
Now there's a lot more videos just like those. The general format is they make a long shot bet, get paid out a ton of money. Isn't that so wonderful? And if you look at the URL, it very clearly says Polymarket, or at least, well, that's what I think that says. I'm zooming in. It looks like Polymarket, but the Wall Street Journal says it's a different website entirely.
We have spoken to people who have told us that Polymarket created this website. That this website, Polymarket, was made by Polymarket.
But this also isn't that unique though to Polymarket. They do the same shit for kick streamers and stuff, where they will give their streamers that they sponsor, like all of the betting websites or stake.com or whatever, will give the kick streamers the like special links to go bet on that will give them better than average odds, just so that they can get people to think that like they'll win more often than they actually do. Like this isn't unique to Polymarket. This is something that happens for all betting like companies, I think. Like and I mean, I honestly, it should probably just be outlawed, like in terms of your, like you or like, you know how like casinos they're required by law to put like results seen are not typical, and if you have a problem, please call this call this hotline or whatever, right? It just feels like those types of things should be forced onto any sort of advertising relating to betting, and that includes, as much as Polymarket hates to admit it, they are a betting website. They are not like a investment vehicle or whatever the fuck they have tried to define themselves to get out of any sort of gambling laws in states. Like they are a betting website, and they should have to do that.
I didn't just have an aneurysm. I just heard Poi Market. What
This
is
at least what we have called it.
Poi Market? Goy Market? No, I think it's Polymarket is what they said. That'd be crazy. Someone should make Goy Market. I don't actually know. Don't do that.
This is
I take it back.
Polymarket has created this program where they have told college-age creators to film content promoting the website, and as part of that, they should film themselves making trades. Now, to film these trades, Polymarket, our reporting shows, created a fake website called Polymarket, or at least that's what we are calling it, but it's Poiy Market. And when the I is capitalized, it looks exactly like the real thing in terms of the URL.
Bro, come on, bro. That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. Can I hit Polymarket? Am I allowed on Polymarket? 1 second. Polymarket. Okay, so let me see. If I go to polymarket.com, hopefully I don't get a virus. I'm also doing this off screen because I don't know where it's going to take me. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get demonetized here. It's not working. Okay. Apparently it's not public or something. I don't know.
URL. But when you look at the actual website where the trades are being placed, there's a bunch of discrepancies that we found, which led us to realize that a lot of these bets that are being placed weren't actually on Polymarket's websites. They're on this fake website that Polymarket gave creators access to go and make what looked like real bets.
Guys, to state the obvious, I don't know who thought of this. 1, diabolical. 2, I mean, dude, I cannot tell. I spelled, by the way, one with an I, one with an L, but I forgot.
If you look at it closely, there is a difference, and it has to do with the pixels. I mean, this is going to be like, you know, it's probably near impossible for you to see on your screen, but like if you look on over here, the lighter pixels are on the right side. And I assume that this is like an actual capture of the exact pixels that he was looking at. But over here, it's more like red on this side, and a little bit more, there's more different colored pixels on the left side. So I think there is technically a small difference between the two if you look closely enough at them, but it's impossible to see at a distance.
Forgot which one I spelled with an L. And I literally looking at it right now, I just wrote this. I can't tell the difference between the two. Those are not the same URL. And that was the cheat code they were basically using, was giving the creators the one where it looks like, you know, when you're taking the cell phone cam of your browser, it's going to show the actual browser. And so it looks like, oh, Polymarket, you're actually at their secret polymarket.com, where they were running a simulated version of the website to do fake trades for fake bets. So it looks like they could get rich. Which is fraud, by the way. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I mean, I don't think you can just deceive people into thinking, oh, that's a real product video when it's a complete fake. Oh, it's so easy.
Yeah, I mean, I think, okay, here's the thing. I do think it is, like it is fraudulent if you are showing it as like this is a realistic result. However, when casinos and stuff, I think when they have ads, I think they often show people like hitting the jackpot or whatever as well. But I think the difference is they normally have to say like results seen are not typical or something along those lines, or they have to have a disclaimer somewhere on the screen saying, that on average you're going to lose or whatever. That's the primary difference.
Easy to get rich like all these guys trading. Look at all these college-age people like you. Get in our app early, right, while you're young, while we can get you hooked into our platform. And actually, the truth of the financial impact of these trades is much different than what they tell you.
Yeah, there was 118 bets that appeared like the person won in the video, and more than half of those would have lost in real life. And if you look at the amount that people were supposed to win, one that was paid out, if you replicated all of those trades, you would have lost $166,000.
So it turns out if you actually did all these get-rich-quick bets that are looking like many times they're actually paying out on these social media videos, you'd actually be in over $100,000 of debt. which is, more than a lot of colleges get you
That's
into,
crazy.
which is crazy because
The McDonald's one though, that had to be a success, man. Like that he's gonna say McDonald's in a month. I'm telling you, he talks about McDonald's all the time. Like I'm pretty sure he says McDonald's in a press conference at least once a month.
college is the big debt trap. And it turns out that these people who are trying to present this college side hustle are presenting you with an even worse debt trap. It's also, hey, why not spin up a gambling addiction while you're at it? And of course, the reason to spin up that gambling addiction, the possibility of great riches, was a farce. It was a smokescreen of advertising. Now, maybe you're thinking, look, hey, Stephen, get real. This is what casinos do. And that's exactly the point. For a long time, for years now, the playbook of this industry, prediction markets, has been they're not casinos. They are event contracts. They're not gambling. They're hedging economic exposure. It's not a parlay. It's a combo, right? They have all these euphemisms for everything. But it turns out when you actually look under the hood, like they're doing all the same things, including, by the way, the marketing playbook, which, yes, has been fake bet slips, fake influencer winnings, influencers pretending, they're making all this money. And then on the most dastardly side, even the platforms themselves getting involved with the deception, which appears to be what the Wall Street Journal is alleging here. Polymarket setting up this Polymarket itself. Now, maybe you're wondering, well, did they really know?
I think that right there is like intentionally deceptive and could probably be argued as fraud. Definitely. Like, and obviously, like if they were registered as gambling sites, I think that they would have to put a disclaimer, but I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know if online gambling has the same regulations that like advertisements for like casinos do. And also the frontier of like streamers and stuff just doing things as an advertisement, like as essentially just like I don't even know if they even like if anybody ever even gets charged for like not disclosing that they are essentially doing an ad when they go and stream on like stake.com for like hours, like I feel like you should be required to say like, here's this is an ad for stake or whatever, but I don't know. I don't even know what those rules are.
No, they actually made a statement saying, quote, they're committed to maintaining accurate, fair, and transparent markets. We are part of a rapidly growing industry and constantly evaluating ways to improve how we're engaging and earning the trust of our audience. The company says it plans to conduct a comprehensive audit of active promotional content. Guys, they're going to investigate themselves. But now's where we turn to the Politico story.
I'm Maya Kaufman. I'm a reporter for Politico, and I wrote about how paid influencers are hyping Polymarket's odds.
This was, once again, about a lot of undisclosed promotions. This time, instead of college students, it was a lot of like progressive and conservative commentators that they caught on the take many times. Undisclosed promotions. But what's worse about this one is who's doing the paying. It turns out it's the company's chief marketing officer, Matthew Madaber, who used a personal PayPal account to send money to content creators. Now,
that can't be legal. You can't be like paying for advertisements outside the books of your company. That has to be illegal. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you like, because then you're not disclosing things to the government in terms of like your income and your cost versus your revenue. Like then you're just hiding stuff. You're cooking the books or whatever. That has to be fraudulent.
Why does it matter that the CMO's getting involved with particularly paying people? Well, again, they claim like, oh, we're trying to improve trust. We're going to do a comprehensive audit. Well, that all has to imply that they didn't know about this fake website, right? At the highest level, oh, this is just some rogue intern somewhere. So what does it look like when the CMO is involved?
We found that he was using a personal PayPal account to send money to all kinds of influencers, and we were able to verify the identities of about...
Dude, all of these companies, man, as time goes on, as the world gets shittier and as the U.S. gets shittier, the enshittification of America and capitalism enters into its death spiral. Like all of these companies are just behaving like fucking mob bosses. Like people like, they're just like they're essentially just like becoming organized crime syndicates. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like back in the day, like we used to go after the mob or whatever, but now it's just like these companies are just like becoming the mob, and so they're just using like whatever tactics, right? Like it's also very like Trumpian or whatever, but it's just like use whatever tactics you want, break all the laws, break all the rules, and we have enough power now that it doesn't even matter. Is basically the thought process going behind these people's like in their heads or whatever, because like doing shit like this is insane. Like just like blatant corruption, blatant breaking the law. Like there's some where you could like argue like, oh, in a court of law maybe they could legally argue that, oh, it's different than, you know, a standard advertisement, or you know, we weren't we weren't actually claiming that this was what the actual results would look like. This was just for marketing purposes or whatever. Like you could try to make that argument in the court of law, but just like paying people off with a personal PayPal account instead of like using the official corporate financing and stuff, and just keeping stuff on the book. And then also like insider trading, I know is a big problem in Kalshi as well. Like stuff like that, like, or like for like employees of Kalshi as well. Like, I don't know. It's just like they are all just becoming the mob. Every company is just becoming like the mob. It's just becoming a crime syndicate. You gotta take these people money away, man. Like we have to. You can, I don't even care if you actually use it for anything. You don't have to distribute it to the masses. You don't have to give everybody free healthcare. You don't have to give people free college or whatever. You don't have to do fucking anything with it. Just take it away and fucking burn it, please. They cannot have this money. We cannot allow them to have this money. It is so terrible for our society. It is so terrible for our politics. It is so corrupting. It is literally the worst thing fucking ever. I think that's something that hopefully like most people can get behind. These people should not be allowed to have this much power and money. It's crazy.
24 influencers who all combined were receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars of payments from this PayPal.
Not disclosed. Like many of these people's, their audiences had no idea that there were these posts, and they didn't know they were basically paid to promote either the trustworthiness of Polymarket, to promote certain mayoral bets, to promote, you know, different event contracts, whatever you want to call them. But, you know, it's kind of funny. The thing that I've been thinking about is these are companies that purport to be about truth, right? They say they are better engines for truth. And yet this is deception right at the heart of getting in the front door.
Yeah, the FTC has rules around advertising disclosure for precisely this reason. They want people who are seeing paid promotions to know that these are paid promotions. And our data team did an analysis of the posts from all of the influencers that we identified. And during a 14-month span, we found that they posted at least 490 times on X without disclosures about Polymarket.
So, yeah, the CMO didn't notice that. The CMO didn't notice all these people he's paying from his personal PayPal are not disclosing its paid ad. And so Polymarket knew, hey, it's better engagement if these people don't say they're paid by us. It looks better as some organic thing, right? So that's what you see over and over again.
And you know what the other thing that is so annoying to me, particularly about American society, is that everybody and their fucking mother is so punitive when it comes to individual acts of crime by people who are, you know, not rich, right? Like just average everyday people. If someone like steals something, or if somebody, you know, I don't know, like jaywalks or whatever, like everybody in America is so punitive when it comes to crime. They want them thrown in jail for the rest of their fucking life. But when it comes to these billionaires and these millionaires and these multinational corporations and stuff, the American populace is so fine, like, is so okay with them getting off scot-free every fucking time. Like the penalty for this needs to be worse than the amount of benefit that they got out of it. How much money do you think they made off of these paid or like undisclosed advertisements? Like it had to be like, you know, millions of dollars, right? Like I guarantee you whatever fine that they would get for this would be like $100,000 or something. Even if, then that's if we have a functional like system that is able to even like take that money back from them or whatever, you know, like I don't understand why people don't get way more mad about this type of crime, which objectively harms the American public a million times more than like some person on the street who like stole something. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me, man. I don't get how people think this way. It really frustrates me sometimes.
Once again, the casino playbook, but forever they've been denying the allegations of. We see it time and time again. And these two investigations brought it all together. You have the fake betting website, and then you have the CMO directly involved with a lot of these partnerships that are not disclosing these advertisements. Now, of course, I don't want to leave you with the impression that Polymarket is the only one who might have done activity like this. They're just the most credibly accused right now. To be clear, this industry is extremely competitive. Everyone's trying to jump in, trying to use growth at all costs to start it. You know, the king of steal your idea, Mark Zuckerberg, has recently directed Meta to create a...
Dude, Mark Zuckerberg, like, can we just all agree now at this point that he is a shitty ass, like, CEO? Like, he is the fucking worst. He has the worst ideas. Like, he always jumps in a day late and a buck short on stupid ass hype ideas, like hype machine things that then end up collapsing in on themselves. Like, he did it with the metaverse or whatever. He jumped into that, like, and then it was an unmitigated failure. Now he's jumping in on the AI bubble, like a day late and a buck short. Like, he always hops in after the fact and then ends up, like, I feel like holding the bag, like, after it inevitably collapses. So yeah, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, obviously Facebook still makes a shit ton of money or whatever, but still, like, I feel like he is very unintelligent when it comes to making like strategic directional decisions for the company. I think that it's pretty clear that that's the case at this point.
Prediction Markets app. And you know Mark Zuckerberg knows a good platform idea for exploiting teens when he sees one. I mean, wow, he must be lights out with this idea. Right now, the New York Times claims users would not wager money and the apps would probably rely on video game points, although the company has not rolled out the eventual use of real money betting. Let's be honest, we know where this is headed. Even the president himself, you know, Truth Social, I think they're starting a Truth Predict, or they're trying to. You've got the president's son.
And by the way, for those unaware, this was all predicted. If you like, people understood the trajectory of like late stage capitalism even back in like the 1800s, and that this would be the end state of it. Is that Marx predicted that literally everything would be monetized. Every single thing would be monetized. How your happiness would be like your feelings would be monetized, like how the social media is monetizing your feelings right now. Every world event would be monetized. Literally, your relationships would be monetized. Like, in the end, capitalism will monetize everything. It will monetize human existence. This was what was predicted back by Marx, hundreds of years ago. And so, or I don't know, I can't remember when Marx's time was exactly. I think like 150 years ago or something. But, this is like stuff that we've all known would happen eventually. We're just finally actually getting to see it, which is like, it's kind of wild to actually live through the end stages of capitalism. But, the hopeful side is that there's going to be like, this is doomed to fail at some point, right? This system that we have set up is doomed to collapse at some point. So the question will be, what do we try to build afterwards? My argument is socialism, democratic socialism in particular, but like that's what I think would be the next evolution of society, where people have a more where we democratize the economy to a much higher degree. Because under capitalism, with unlimited wealth accumulation, you get unlimited power accumulation, and that is unacceptable if you want to live under a democracy. It inevitably leads to fascism. So what I would say is that we need to just seize all of that money. We need to create systems that make it impossible for people to accumulate that level of money. And the only way to do that is to empower workers as much as possible, and obviously take back this wealth. Like, even if you take it back and just like leave the system as is, it would eventually recreate itself in the exact same way that we're seeing right now. So you need the power to be maintained by the workers, and you need the people to create systems and narratives and mythology around like labor and all that in order to maintain systems that keep the wealth from accumulating into as few hands as possible as it is currently. And that's my personal argument for a better future. Anyway, I'm going to leave the rest. I know that I made it near to the end, but I'm going to move on, I think, to some other stories. I did want to talk about this one real quick. This is a short one. This is some Missouri local news for me. So this is former landlord extradited from Israel to face wire bank fraud charges in St. Louis by Kevin S. Held. This is funny to me just as a concept because, like, I don't know if people understand this, but like Israel is like the safe haven for criminals, right? For American criminals in particular. There was a relatively recent incident of a pedophile who was caught in America and was instantaneously like bused to an airport by our federal government and sent to Israel so that he wouldn't be prosecuted. I think it was an actual Israeli official, if I remember correctly. And so, like, basically, like, the way that you get out of, like, facing any sort of consequences in America for your crimes is to get Israeli citizenship. And then as soon as you commit a crime, just being like, yo, Israel, they're about to arrest me. Can I come over there? And they're like, sure, bud, we got you. And then they'll take you over there. So, so this is interesting because I don't know if I remember the last time I've seen an indication of, or like a story about somebody who is actually extradited from Israel back to America. So this is wild to me, and I'm very curious about this story. And in St. Louis, my hometown, no less. Okay, let me get a drink of coffee, then I'll get going. St. Louis. A man indicted nearly 6 years ago for $28 million bank and wire fraud scheme tied to apartment buildings in Missouri and Oklahoma was extradited from Israel on Thursday and will appear in federal court in St. Louis on Friday. Michael Fain, 47, was an owner and vice president of TEH Management and an owner and manager of several TEH affiliated companies that operate rental properties throughout the country. Fain said to be responsible for the day-to-day operations of TEH Management and those affiliated companies. TEH owned and operated the Pinnacle Ridge Complex in Glasgow Village in St. Louis County, the Green Village Townhomes apartment complex in Kansas City, and Ivy Place Apartments in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay, well, nowhere in the actual city, at least. They're all out in the county and Kansas City / Oklahoma. So, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office for Eastern District of Missouri, Fain used falsified information to obtain bank loans to purchase and operate the apartment complexes. He was indicted on August 20th, 2020 on one count of bank fraud and one count of wire fraud. Fain, born in the U.S., holds dual citizenship with Israel. Always, always, always be skeptical, like yellow flag alert, like, or red flag alert, if somebody holds dual citizenship with Israel. Okay. Always be like, okay, what's he done in the past, or what is he planning to do? What crimes is he planning to do? Because I'm telling you, this shit happens all the time. It happens all the time where they just flee to Israel. It's just their backup plan so that they can do crimes in America and just flee to Israel. He possesses an Israeli passport and has a wife and children there. In an interview with the St. Louis Post-Dispatch at the time, Fain said he was unaware of the indictment and said he'd been living in Israel for the past 6 months, which would have been in February 2020. However, federal prosecutors said a grand jury had already subpoenaed records from Fain's company in January 2020, and that Fain would have certainly been aware of the investigation. Yeah, I mean, I will, like, indicted on August 20th, it says. And he'd been living in Israel for the past 6 months, so it, like, technically that would have been before August 2020 is said, or oh no, they're saying he lived in there since February. Well, then if he was indicted in August 20th, then obviously he would have known about it before he moved. U.S. authorities confirmed Fain was still living in Israel by June 2021 and submitted an extradition request on May 14, 2026. Israeli officials approved the final extradition order. Submitted an extradition request on May 14th, 2026. So relatively recently, Israeli officials approved the final extradition order. Fain arrived at John F. Kennedy International Airport on Thursday morning and was flown to St. Louis Lambert International Airport later that day. Let me look up something real quick. Extradition from Israel to America stats. How many people are extradited from Israel to America annually? While the two nations operate under a long-standing bilateral treaty, the number of extradited individuals typically ranges from 0 to a handful in a given year. 0 to a handful. I wonder if they have any more data on here. No. Show more. Yeah, I mean, it looks like, anywhere from like 0 to 5 is what I would say per year. So this guy just really got unlucky. He probably didn't know the right people. I guarantee you, if he had like met with the Trump administration or something, then he would have been fine. Between 2016 and 2018, prosecutors allege Fain, acting on behalf of a TEH affiliated company, agreed to purchase the Pinnacle Ridge apartment complex and applied for a $2.8 million bank loan to complete the deal. Fain submitted false documents to the lender and inflated financial information tied to the apartment complex in order to obtain said loan, according to federal prosecutors. Just normal Trump shit, normal landlord shit. This shit happens all the time. The loan was ultimately approved, and Fain and THS took over ownership and management of Pinnacle Ridge. Similar instances of using falsified information to obtain loans occurred in Kansas City and Tulsa, prosecutors said. In 2019, Fain applied for a $5.225 million bank loan insured by the Federal Housing Administration to purchase the Hanley Crossings apartment complex. Fain allegedly inflated occupancy rates of 26 of the multifamily apartment units by approximately 18% each. However, the loan was ultimately not funded by the lender and FHA. In March 2020, following numerous tenant complaints about substandard living conditions in TEH-owned properties, the federal government suspended all taxpayer-subsidized housing contracts and funding to TEH and its affiliates in the St. Louis and Kansas City areas. The federal government offered low-income tenants living in those units transfer vouchers to help them find appropriate housing. According to a December 2019 report that aired on Fox 2 News, TH Realty properties across the area have been cited multiple times for substandard living conditions. Some municipalities attempted to take the company to court, but told Fox 2 that management would not appear at hearings. Classic delay, deny, depose, all that shit. Yeah, well, this sucks to suck. You got one. We got one, people. One Israeli has officially been extradited to America, to my knowledge. Now, I'm sure there are others that have in the past. However, this is the first one that I'm aware of. And so I'm gonna be like, we got him. One down. I'm sure there's like 100,000 to go or something. Okay, anyway, that's a little fun story. Speaking of fun stories, let's go ahead and get into some like silly nonsense stuff. So let's talk about so this is Gutfeld. Who's ready to get Gutfelded, everybody? Are you ready? Everybody loves the Feld. Let's go ahead and watch this Fox News segment. Gutfeld, when did men stop wearing these? I don't know what he's going to talk about, what people are wearing, but it says panel discussed the generational differences of work attire. Oh, so this is going to be about the generational divide between people who dress up for work versus the the youngsters who have no class whatsoever and go to work wearing like a t-shirt and shorts. Ugh. So let's see what's going on here. Hopefully it'll be fun.
Your Paris, Birmingham, he frankly doesn't give a damn. A place where style has no border. Welcome to Greg's Fashion Corner.
By the way, right off the bat, a plain white t-shirt underneath what, like a sports coat or something? I don't know. Or this just looks like a regular coat, actually, like a suede jacket or something. Like, what, isn't this a little hypocritical? Isn't this also the show with that one dude with all the like the tattoos and the t-shirt or whatever? Like this guy, you're gonna, okay, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go. Let's see what he has to say about it.
Tonight in the Fashion Corner, how different generations define work attire. A recent op-ed highlights generational differences in what people wear to work. Baby boomers dress in full business professional outfits like suits and ties. Gen X and millennials wear simple blouses and slacks. Who wrote this? While Gen Z prefers business casual looks with sneakers, maxi shirts, and oversized blazers. Of course, some styles never really change with generations. I still come to work today in what I wore when I was in my 20s. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, look, here's what I'd like to say. I like to always give these people credit when they do something that isn't weird, because they're so conditioned to being like weird little freaks about shit. So in this instance, he's poking a little bit of fun at himself, which is something that is historically very difficult for conservatives to do. Because they're so insecure. So when he does this, I want to give him a little bit of credit. It wasn't the funniest joke, but I am going to give him a little bit of credit for at least poking a little bit of fun at himself. Congratulations, Greg Gutfeld.
In my 20s. Yeah. Yeah.
Although he did look a little bit pissed off. He looked like he looked off screen like, what intern put that fucking shit in there? They are getting fired immediately. But let's see.
Why the handcuffs? I don't know. So, Kat, we work in a weird thing. Right. We can almost wear whatever we want, so It's hard for us to judge. But I found this whole thing ridiculous. Baby boomers are retiring.
No, they're not. Look, you're still sitting right there.
I'm on the cusp. I'm on the cusp.
That's a pretty good one.
I'm here.
Yeah, there's another one.
What do you think?
I don't. Who cares? I think it's.
He's probably the best dressed one on here, I think, right? Let me see if where's that full panel shot again? We got t-shirt and jeans and sneakers. This guy, Limp Bizkit looking ass. And then she's just wearing like a standard, like what you would wear to like, I don't know, it's like a Fox News correspondent or something. I can't see what that guy's wearing, but, you know, she's definitely the best dressed out of all of them here.
What do you think?
I don't. Who cares? I think it's also people were working from home for so long. I think it's something we got to get over. But it is different for us, right? Mm-hmm. It is different because I have to wear full drag by the end of the day.
Yeah.
Fake hair, fake lashes, full drag. So I feel like it's okay that I come here looking a little butch.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I do. I wear like big baggy clothes. The woman who walks into this building and the woman who walks out, if you put them side by side, you'd say there's no way it's the same person.
No, when you walk in, you look like you work at the arcade at a bowling alley.
No, I look like I applied and didn't get it.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
I'm a little bit confused here. So she's saying that she didn't. Is she saying that they dress her up like this? Like I'm a little bit like slightly concerned then, because it seems like all of these dudes are just wearing whatever the fuck they want. And then she is like forced to dress in like or like, you know, semi-office professional attire or whatever, get fully made up and all that sort of stuff. Seems a little bit hypocritical, but what do I know?
Yes, exactly. Tyrus, do you ever think about what you're going to wear when you do this show?
No, I do not. I graduated from the John Fetterman School of Fashion, and
I can't tell if the audience liked John Fetterman or hated him. I feel like at first they were like, boo, but then afterwards they were like, the rest of the people are like, yeah. It's like because John Fetterman, like, this is his like safe space, but he's also, you know, supposed to be like a Democrat or whatever. And I think that it like it might confuse, like, it's hard for the Fox News audience to digest that and get a coherent like message of whether he's good or bad, you know.
I feel bad knocking him.
I'm not knocking him.
No, I feel bad that I knocked him.
Hey, you want to be comfortable, bro, and you got enough talent, you can dress anywhere you want to. But again,
talent.
I think it
Is
goes
that what
back
we're calling
to
it?
people dress like the people they want to emulate, like who your heroes were. So the boomers, when they looked, they saw men were in suits and wore hats, and they were dignified and successful, so they wanted to emulate that. And then now everyone wants to look like a cartoon character, so they wear pajamas to work and like it's just.
That's a good point.
It's just who you identify, like, oh, I want to be like that guy. And then you want to be cool and anti-establishment, you know, and like, or if you want to just have one sock up because it just feels right, you know, you just do it.
No, I think Tyrus is right.
Well, can I ask you a question? Because you're senior management. What year, it had to be a year, did men stop wearing hats? Like, you always see movies, every guy.
Oh my God, this is the fucking like. This annoys me so much. This is the most trite bullshit. Like, and I get really annoyed with like trite stuff, like things that are like so things that like everybody says all the time. It's something that happens a lot in like my work chats and stuff, and like where like they're like stuff like, oh my God, I can't, give me a sec till I have my coffee, like, you know, that sort of stuff. Or, I don't know, I'm trying to think of some others, but like, this sort of thing where it's like, I've heard this stupid ass conversation so many times of like, when did people stop wearing hats, right? Like that used to be a thing people did. And I'm like, come on, like, please, let's talk about something new. I don't know. I just get really annoyed by
it. Was wearing a hat.
I didn't get the memo.
No, but you know what? No, I'm talking about the business, you know, they going to put the hat down. There had to be like a year where they just said no more hats.
I'm going to guess 65. Look at Mad Men. They sort of chronicle that. He's wearing a hat, and then he isn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
I think a lot of times we also like we look at like pictures of people and we assume that that's like exactly how everybody dressed or whatever, like all the time almost, or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, where's that like time traveler picture? Old, I don't know, I think it's this one's a common one that I'm like where like people like always use this as evidence of like a time traveling person or whatever, without realizing that like there were people that just dressed like this back then. There were people who just dressed in like a t-shirt and like had like sunglasses on or whatever, right? Like it wasn't like a lot of times we see like the pictures of like New York where everybody was dressed in like business professional going about their day. And then like they assume that that's how everybody dressed all the time, as opposed to like, yeah, that's how they were dressing like in like our population center at the time and stuff. But like, that isn't how everybody was dressing all the time. That might've been the dress for like, professional business class and stuff, but like there were plenty of people who worked like working class jobs back then who didn't dress like that either, you know. Like people did just occasionally wear, or just did also wear like t-shirts and shorts sometimes and stuff too. I don't know, I just think that sometimes we like I like project like the images that we get from pictures onto like the entirety of society back in the day.
Yeah, forever men wore hats and all of a sudden they did not.
But then they watched Mad Men, you say?
No, they didn't. No.
That's weird, because that
Also, if you go to New York still and you look at the people walking around, they're still walking around in full suits. They might not be wearing hats, but there's still a lot of people walking around in like full suits going to their, you know, professional jobs, like, which isn't the most common across the rest of the world right now, or like the rest of the country. Like I don't wear, I go, our company is very casual. And when we go into the office, it's very casual. So, I'm usually, if I go into the office, I usually wear shorts and a t-shirt, you know. If I have to go to corporate or something, then I'll put on like slacks and a button up, you know, like that's like how I do it. But
came out in
yeah.
the 2000s.
Yes.
You're not making any sense.
I'm not. You're right. One of us
did
is.
they invent hair plugs? Because that'll give you your answer, I think. But I don't think people should dress the way they want. Like, the kookier, the better.
Yeah.
Like, I was in Beverly Hills the other day. I was driving through looking for a Panera Bread. And I saw Lady Gaga. Remember that dress she had made out of meat?
Yeah.
I saw her walking down the street, and I ran up Lady Gaga, and it was just a homeless guy covered in pork chops.
There's 0% chance that actually happened. There's 0% chance. If you're gonna make up a story, please make up a better story. That's my advice to you.
I like you dress like a guy who
say it.
You look like a guy who manages a bar with the word lounge in it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He doesn't man. It's something
He's also stealing my style with the goatee. He's making people with goatees look bad. Not everybody who has goatees makes up such terrible stories. I promise you. I make up incredible stories.
I don't know, the mangy lounge.
Yeah, that's right.
What about you?
I think this study is sort of BS. I think the reality is boomers are dressing down so they look like they don't have money, they don't have authority because they don't want to be targeted.
Ooh, wow.
Look at how like
he's pretty well dressed too.
The owners of Silicon Valley, they all wear sweatshirts and old jeans.
That's it. You know what? They're dressed as a reaction to envy.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
That is an amazing thing. So you're dressing.
Dude, they're so in the past right now. Yes. Okay. Look. When Silicon Valley was coming up, like they were intentionally trying to make themselves look different than standard companies, right? That was their brand, like the Silicon Valley Tech Bros. That's why they would wear, I don't know, sweatpants and flip flops or whatever, like Mark Zuckerberg in the Social Network movie or whatever, or like Jesse Eisenberg, I guess, like they did do that shit to try to make themselves look different, but they've tossed away that facade at this point. Like that shit's gone. Like, I think that they still like the like now they're trying to adopt like the cool guy aesthetic. Like, if you look at Mark Zuckerberg now, he'll be like wearing like a black t-shirt and like a chain or something, so they're still like, I guess, trying to distinguish themselves in some way. I'm curious about like their philosophy on that. I don't exactly know. I don't know. I'll have to think about that one a little bit more. I don't know exactly why they made that transition.
According to one of the worst deadly sins,
correct,
is that you know that you're wealthy and people are going to hate you, so you don't have the expensive watch or the car.
And it's a sign of how much envy is afoot amongst us. It's running rampant right now.
I'm going to start flaunting my wealth at work.
Start?
Dude. She's the funniest one here. Like, honestly, like, give this girl a raise, dude.
I only ate bald eagle once for lunch. They won't let me forget it. Yeah. I didn't even have to fly it in. It just came into the window.
Wow. Letha Etheridge. God, I was over at Ross Dress for Less the other day.
Really? Shocking.
Big Ross contingent here.
Yeah.
Anyone from TJ Maxx while we're at it?
And what happened?
Well, I asked him how much was this garbage bag. I asked for a Glad garbage bag. It was only $1. So I walked out in that and use it as a raincoat and when I'm filleting halibut.
Okay.
Kind of wondering if I should have asked him that question.
Probably not.
Be sure to like.
Okay, that was a little underwhelming. I was hoping that they would. Honestly, they were all. It seems like they were all like, "Oh, wear whatever you want. That's fine." I'm like, yeah. I mean, I agree. We don't need this authoritarian ass dress codes. I prefer more anarchy in our workplace. We do not need that authoritarianism from the bigwigs and the bosses telling us what to wear. So I agree with them. Also, that lady was definitely the funniest part of the show. Give her more time because the rest of the people were kind of boring. I'm not going to lie. Okay, let's go and watch this one. It's another Fox News clip. This is the Fox News Fun Time Hour right now. I just had to watch this. I had to watch it after I saw the title. Bone chilling. Exorcist reveals harrowing details about the devil. Okay, let's find out.
And a brand new episode of
Who is
Sean's
this?
podcast, Hang Out with Sean Hannity.
Who is this? Does anybody know who this is? This guy looks wild. He looks like the like evil mayor in like Footloose or something, you know? Like that's like he should be playing that. I feel like you have to try to look like to look like the bad guy of like a 80s teen movie. You know what I'm saying? Man, ooh, that was interesting.
And a brand new episode of Sean's podcast, Hang Out with Sean Hannity, dropped this morning, featuring a real-life exorcist, Father Carlos Martins. Here's a sneak peek.
These demons are very informed about every individual on this planet. That's what you're claiming.
They're all informed about. Yeah.
And you're saying in the middle of exorcisms, the dark force that you're dealing with may have knowledge about you.
Not me. They will.
Why not about you? Or secret information or hidden information?
They always do. They do. It's a given.
But not about you.
Dude, this guy is crazy looking. Is this the normal attire that exorcists wear? Or like exorcist attire? I guess it is. Man, I don't know. He's giving me the heebie-jeebies a little bit.
You?
About me, sure. Yeah.
And
about all of us.
It will express it to you. Have you had it?
So the God limits what they can do with that. All right. So in other words, look, we're all sinners. If you're not right with God, if the sin hasn't been confessed, if that sin hasn't been handed over to God and then forgiven, God can't take away what you don't give him. Right? So he will not take away your sin unless you hand it to him. Otherwise, he's a thief. He's taking stolen goods that don't belong to him. But so if you've done your bit.
Okay, that's an inch. This is very Catholic coded, right? Catholics, as far as I'm aware, are the only. I mean, there might be other sects that do this as well, but they're the ones who ask you to. Like your sins aren't forgiven unless you confess them to your pastor, right? Which, by the way, I don't really think. I think that originated more like nefariously than I think it really should. Like I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to tell this human, like this other person. Who is, like, I know that, like, Catholics believe that the priest is like, I think that they believe that the priest is actually like a vessel of God or something, or like that his word, is like God's word. Like it's very like Catholicism is very authoritarian in nature, right? But I don't like that idea that you have to tell like your deepest, darkest secrets to the pastor. And I also feel like it has been used like pretty often throughout history to just like to be like a cudgel to wield against people who might like go against the church in a way or something, like in the same way that like the Mormons or whatever, they will like excommunicate you if you decide to if you decide not to be a Mormon anymore. Like there's various cudgels when it comes to religion on like how they reinforce their power as a religious sect, right? And so I don't know. I've never really liked that part about Catholicism. And this idea that like God is stealing your sin if he like solves it for you without your permission seems a little bit like, I guess, I don't know, maybe that's the whole free will thing. I'm not like that I'm not very religious, so I don't really know that much about it, but
business with God, like you better make dang sure if you're coming in against the Prince of Darkness, you better be sure you're on God's team.
The devil knows a lot, but God knows all. Be sure to check it out on iHeart, YouTube, Spotify, or Apple, or wherever you watch video podcasts.
Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between Fox News and a televangelist, Let's see what the comments say. If you've been born again and have the power of the Holy Spirit in you, you don't have to perform an exorcist to cast out a demon. You use the powerful name of Jesus Christ, and you can call it whatever you want to a fantasy imaginary friend or wherever you want to, or whatever you want to. But the fact is, demons are real because people are possessed, oppressed, and depressed within them or with them. But that's one thing that don't be afraid of. Okay. Okay, Mr. ChatGPT. I don't know what you're sure. Only an exorcist can save the economy. That's kind of funny. Is this April 1st? Am I dreaming? What on earth is going on? Have people lost their minds? Why is this on a news channel? Oh, you see. Okay, yeah. It seems like most people are just ragging on it. Okay, well, there was Fox News fun time. Let's watch this though.
The Daily Wire. It's been getting.
This is the Valuetainment show. This is with PBD. Who's ready to get valuetained? I'm going to be honest. I never watch PBD. It seems like a type of show that the people on it would just infuriate me to a degree that it would make it make it impossible for me to enjoy. So I don't know. We'll see how this goes. But anyway, we're about to get valuetained. We're going to talk about the Daily Wire now. Let's see what PBD has to say. Apparently, he thinks that they really need they need a real CEO. Daily Wire raises $100 million to considers IPO. First note, Mr. Business Boy, you might want to get someone to do a double check on your titles before they go out. Now, I do this sometimes. My titles sometimes have typos, okay? But you're a big business boy with 7 million subscribers, and I'm a small streamer with like 200 subscribers. So anyway, let's go ahead and see what's going on in the world of the Daily Wire and PBD himself and the Valuetainment crew.
Stomped on by everybody left and right the last 30, 60, 90 days. They're losing people. People are quitting. They're doing this. They're doing that. And then yesterday's story comes out that Daily Wire, under pressure, seeks strategic investors, targets IPO. I think they raised $100 million yesterday at a valuation of $2 billion, if I'm not mistaken. And the numbers came out, if you want to go a little bit lower on these numbers, showing the fact that they have, let me just read this. In talks to take at least $100 million investment, initial public offering in a few years. The company, which was founded by Ben Shapiro in 2015, has been in talks with High Mount Capital to lead a funding round that would be value the company at, $750 million, according to documents reviewed by Semaphore. The Daily Wire, which is trying to take on New York Times from the right, privately disclosed that it notched $48 million in EBITDA last year, but it just failed to grow its subscriber base and to keep ones in. It has paying, and documents show go a little bit lower. The company banker said it has fielded buyout offers above $1 billion, but the Daily Wire founders prefer to take minority aligned investment to grow the business, according to the documents. Those bankers said.
By the way, this type of IPO play is pretty common in businesses that are like going down, like going under. I don't know if people are aware of that, but like it's usually often a last-ditch effort to try to save the business. I think like Trump's like Truth Social company or whatever did a similar sort of thing. So this is not a good sign. In case you're curious, this is not a good sign from the Daily Wire.
A $2 billion IPO could be achievable within 18 months. So $750 million valuation, and then they go to $2 billion when they go public. The company parted ways with Jeremy Boring. We just had him on a couple weeks ago. We had a great conversation. So, Elon, where are you at with this? Is this it, by the way, subscribership? Let's just look at this real quick. Revenue has slowed or contracted. This is subscriptions. In 2021, they grew 151%. In 2022, they went up 80%. 2023, 8%. 2024, 10%. 25 down, 26 they're down, 16%. Advertising up 22 down.
Yeah, if you look at this, it's interesting that their advertising went up so much in 2026, but their subscription count went down so much in 2026.
17 down 3, down 5, up 14. Is there any?
It's like, is it the more that they advertise, the less people want to see it?
The data that you want to show outside of that. And what is this? Daily Wire subscribership from 257 in 2020 to 558. I think that 558 to 1 million. That's what is a woman of a
which was huge,
which was massive. Matt Walsh to 1 million, 1,000,002, 1,020,260,000, 852, 771. Some would say 771 is still a solid number to have today. Elon, your thoughts on this story?
One thing that Daily Wire did, which is very smart, is it always focused heavily on its subscription model. I think the trend is what matters. We don't yet know if it's going to continue trending down. I think when you look there, you see they go from 1.26 million to 852,000 to 771,000.
Well, we don't know if it's going to trend down, I guess, necessarily. But we can use our brains, though, right? Like, I mean, I think it's obvious to anybody who's paying attention that the Daily Wire, like their model of like pseudo intellectual conservatism is like not very popular anymore, right? Like it's getting less and less popular by the day. Like I think, like, I want to be like completely clear. I think that Ben Shapiro is much more of a like traditional conservative who just kind of got like brought along for the ride when it comes to Trump and MAGA. Like I think that he is much more like a Liz Cheney sort of dude, like in terms of his own politics. So I don't necessarily think he even like enjoys that, like, because I mean, my evidence of that is just that he didn't want Trump to get elected the first time. Like he said, we cannot allow the Conservative Party to become this. And then obviously he got in line after he realized where the winds were blowing, or like once the winds had already like blown over, right? He did get in line. But yeah, so, and there used to be an actual market for this like pseudo intellectual conservatism because Ben Shapiro's whole like brand is that he makes like these like debate lord ass like videos about like why conservatism is right and why liberalism is wrong or whatever, right? Like that's like how he came to fame. He came to fame debating people on college campuses and stuff, like debating, you know, college students about like why conservatives like, and he would use like pseudo intellectual arguments to make his point. But like that has lost a lot of salience now, because that only works for people who are invested actually in the project of conservatism, people who are ideological like conservatives, right? But MAGA isn't that, right? MAGA is not like a quote unquote conservative movement. It's like a fascist movement, right? It's a fascist takeover using conservatism and conservative ideas and reactionaryism as their through line. And as that gains more and more power in the political ecosystem, people don't need like pseudo intellectual arguments. Everybody's already made up their mind. You're either with the fascists, you're either like with the fascists and going along with that agenda, that like white nativist, like white national Christian nationalist movement, or you're not, or you're like anti-fascist. Like those are the only two options, right? And so, like, and you don't need like intellectual arguments to be a part of the fascist movement. Like the Nazis back in the day did not make like intellectual arguments as to like why they needed to like round up Jews and throw them in concentration camps, right? They just said Jews are the problem. They are the problem, and we are going to solve the problem by throwing them in concentration camps, right? In the same vein that like right now they're saying migrants are the problem, and we are going to solve the problem by throwing the migrants into concentration camps. Like this does not need an intellectual argument for people to go along with it. And so people are not looking for that anymore. They're looking for people to just fulfill the immediate propaganda urges that they feel. And I would say like people like Asmongold, or people even like Tim Pool, like people who have like sloppy, low effort content that is not necessarily intellectual, but fulfills your base need for buy-in into the propaganda, or buy into this, like, to the movement. Like that's basically what they're looking for. So everything else beside that at this point in time, in the current iteration of like MAGA fascism, is honestly just completely unnecessary. And people are like, why would I watch that when I can get it mainline directly? Like, why would I watch you dress up the the same ideology or whatever in all of these pseudo intellectual terms when I could just go straight to the source and get the unfiltered shit right over there, you know? I think that that's probably like, I think that by using our brains, we can say like, that is the direction that right wingers are moving towards, and they will move away from Ben Shapiro's style of conservatism as a result of that. And that would be my prediction if I was going to make a prediction.
Clearly a decline from their peak, which is worrisome. But again, they have a very strong business because they've always put resources behind the subscription model. I do think there's trends to things. I think Daily Wire's lost a lot of its kind of, you know, that flair that it used to have. I think now they're starting to get to a foundational base. So if that can stay steady, I don't know how they're going to grow it from there. That's my concern with Daily Wire. I don't imagine that this is suddenly going to trend upward. So if you're trying to value a company, listen, 50 million on EBITDA on a subscription-based model, what are you going to give? What kind of valuation do you give on a company like that with expectations that you give 5x on?
First of all, 50 billion in EBITDA is respectable.
It's incredible. That's what I'm saying. It's amazing.
$50 million EBITDA.
No, I'm saying
investors are looking. This is what I would do if I had Daily Wire. So we were approached at one point by a $20 billion fund to do a roll-up and buy 5 of them, and they had interest of me running the entire roll-up at the top. And Tom, we had extensive, when was this, by the way, the conversations that we had?
I think it was exactly 2 years ago at Four Seasons on the Beach on the conference room.
Something like that, when we had these meetings. This was, something like that.
I think exactly 2 years ago.
But I'm talking about the other fund guys that came here that we sat down in the kitchen and we had the conversations. You know who I'm talking about upstairs? That's who I'm talking about. And I think that was like 12 months ago or 9 months ago, something like that. But let me tell you what's going to happen. What they need is a real operator. That's what they need. They need a real operator. If they get a real operator that's willing to come and operate this, not advertising, not interested. All I'm saying is if they get a real operator that comes in and is willing to operate this, has the experience, knows how to handle being under fire, and they come up with some good ideas. Remember this.
I think he wants to be in charge of the Daily Wire. I think that's what he wants. Honestly, he couldn't solve the problem either, I don't think.
Story is going to lead into the next one of Google putting the money into A24. So there is that possibility. The market's looking for something like that. The market would like a second option to Fox as a competitor, specifically for conservatives. But if they don't bring the right people in, they're going to have a challenge there. Humberto, your thoughts?
Can I disagree a little bit?
It's the same problem that the Young Turks have, right? Like the Young Turks is like the equivalent of the Daily Wire, but for like progressive politics, right? I mean, you could argue like the Young Turks is kind of reactionary as well. However, like they are a big company with a whole lot of like infrastructure and a lot of money put into their sets, and they have a big team, and like, you know, and it's modeled after a traditional news organization, and all that sort of stuff. And like, the problem is that, and the Daily Wire is basically just the same sort of, it's like the same sort of business model. But the direction of media in general is moving towards people like yours truly. Just like it's micro influencers and just influencers in general, of like, you know, just individual personalities, like giving their interpretation of things and how they feel about stuff. And like, and that can be news related or not news related. And so their entire business model was always, I think, a little bit doomed to fail, even despite like like, even if you take away what I was talking about earlier, which is like the direction that the Conservative Party is going in, the direction of media consumption is also going towards individuals with like smaller, like easier to manage budgets, like very small budgets. And it's all centered around individual personalities as well. And so I think that, you know, in that regard, they're also having like similar problems that I think TYT is also having.
So, I mean, you see people, I was driving down the street the other day and I saw a guy driving a Tesla, all right? He's driving the car and he has a sticker on the back. It's like, I bought this before Elon was there, all right? The guy, the Daily Wire, relies on Ben Shapiro as the head of the company. So Elon can say things and can sell other things at the same time. When you are selling what you're saying, it's very difficult to keep the company afloat. You know what I mean? If you, Tom, you will remember the BuzzFeed IPO case. Like I think they went public through SPAC. and it was an absolute disaster. So it plummeted. So keeping this content outfit, especially when you're in the political space, I wouldn't put my money on it. You know what I mean? No disrespect. I respect the Daily Wire. I think they do a tremendous job. I think their business model.
I think it would be a bad bet. If you were going to invest, I would advise you not to. I would advise you not to bet on Daily Wire giving you any sort of return anytime soon. In fact, I would guess that you would end up like losing money if you bet on that company right now.
Model works for them, but is it enough to go public? I don't know, Pat.
Well, I think there's two. Okay, sorry, I'm just going to finish this with this. There's two problems. Number one, Ben Shapiro is heavily connected to the value of the company. So you have an individual who, if they, for any reason, goes.
How much of it do you think? What percentage do you think is tied?
From what I know from people, I would say he's responsible for the overwhelming majority of the subscription.
Ben Shapiro stops creating content next 3 years. What happens to Daily Wire?
It's decimated.
You think so?
Absolutely.
I don't think so.
I actually kind of agree with PBD here. I don't necessarily think it is that tied into the personality of Ben Shapiro. I think back in the day it was, when it was originally created, it was. But I think at this point, it's just fulfilling a niche in the market of, like I said, that pseudo-intellectual conservatism. And I think most people on his staff could probably fulfill that role. I honestly think you could swap Ben Shapiro with whoever. And I don't necessarily think it would impact them that much. Maybe a little bit for sure, but I don't know if it would impact them that much. But I don't know. I'm not the business boy here, though.
100% believe that.
I think that a percentage will be decimated. I think a percentage will be decimated. I don't know if it'll be. I don't know if it's going to be out. Period. And by the way, that is the challenge today. When I had Jeremy Boring here 2 weeks ago, it's a different era to be an operator and a talent. But we're in that era.
Yeah.
Like, you know, a lot of guys back in the days, Ted Turner was not a talent. Ted Turner was a what? Just an operator.
Mm-hmm.
He was a guy in the back end. So you didn't hear his opinion. You were hearing the news. And he, in his book, if you've ever read the book, They Call Me Ted, which I think Shapiro needs to read if he hasn't already. When you read that book, you'll see how different it was the way they built it. I do think they have a chance, but we'll see. They have a lot of enemies, and a lot of times when you have enemies, you know who's going to get tested? The individual is going to get tested. The part that you got to respect about what they're doing here is the following. I like that they're just wanting to take minority positions. Mm-hmm. I like that it's only minority positions, because when you're taking minority positions, what are you saying to the market?
Minority? I don't know about that.
We're going to survive.
We believe
that it's going to.
I don't like them taking the minority positions
to the market.
I don't know what he's talking about.
We're going to survive.
We believe
that it's going to succeed. Yes.
If they came in and they're like, no, hey, you know,
get us out. We want out.
Hey, that's a different story. Yeah. Snyder, your thoughts?
That's exactly where I was going to go. The fact that they're only soliciting minority.
Man, they got too many people on the show.
Tells me that they think that there's a pathway forward here. They just need some liquidity to get through the rough patch.
Also, one thing I've never understood is these like hat displays. Like you could display anything. Why display hats? Maybe I'm just not a hat guy, but that seems a little bit like one of the things that I would least care about displaying out of anything, you know?
Patch, and that maybe there's some growth someplace else. But I also agree with you guys. It is top heavy, extremely top heavy. Who else do you know from the Daily Wire? I mean, Matt Walsh.
Yeah, but
Michael Knowles.
Yeah, but
those two are good.
Not comparatively to
right, exactly.
Matt Walsh,
so
nowhere near. In terms of this, like if you look at the amount of views that Ben Shapiro commands and commanded, in terms of even Matt Walsh's and Michael Knowles' views exists as a byproduct of Ben Shapiro.
I think I'm done with this. I tried it, people. I tried being Valuetained. I'm going to be honest. I wasn't that Valuetained. I've seen people react to funnier clips by them where they're just like wrong a lot. This one was, I don't know. It was whatever. I think that, I do think that the Daily Wire is on the downswing. And I think that this IPO is likely like I said, like a similar to, I think it was like Truth Social or whatever, like a last ditch effort to like, save the company sort of situation. And so we'll see what happens if they actually go through with this IPO or not. But yeah, maybe I'll try another PPD clip some other time. I'm not saying I'm never going to do it again, but they weren't as entertaining as I was hoping they would be. So with that being said, I think I'm about done here. We had some fun. We went through some serious stuff. We had some fun, and I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you all for watching. If you're watching the VOD, love you too. This has been Technically Clay, and the stream is technically over. Bye-bye.